So originally I was gonna make a video talking about what we saw in the multiplayer portion of the new Splatoon 3 trailer, but what I really want to talk about more right now is how Nintendo is handling bringing back old maps. I get that it's something I've spent a lot of time talking about recently, and that's because I think it's a really important issue. Especially now with the official reason that we're getting for why we're going back to old maps from Splatoon 1 and probably Splatoon 2. And I would just like to quickly say, for all of the people that called me paranoid and left nasty comments for thinking Nintendo was going to mismanage bringing back old map, I would just like to let you know that I told you so and I was right all along. So the official explanation for why we are going back to all of these old maps from Nintendo is, and I quote, "This stage below is Museam di Alfonsino from the Inkopolis area. It seems a sophisticated transportation network makes it possible to join turf wars there." The official reason Nintendo gave us for bringing back old maps in a basically unchanged state is a quote-unquote sophisticated transportation network. Brother, what? They did virtually no changes to these maps besides maybe replace a few walls and add some very minor scenery changes. This is quite literally the worst way Nintendo could have dealt with bringing back older maps. Like, okay Nintendo, so you went with this new quote-unquote transportation system. I better not be seeing any cars in any of the backgrounds of the stages, because clearly if this transportation system is so advanced that I can bring Inklings from France to Japan in like 2 minutes, then there is clearly no more need for cars anymore. Or maybe this is really just about Nintendo taking literally the laziest approach to bring back old maps. We're not getting redesigned Splatsville themed maps. Nothing is going to be done to make these maps match the chaos of Splatoon 3. There were so many other ways to handle bringing back old maps, but Nintendo chose this one because it requires the lowest amount of effort. And when you put in the lowest amount of effort, you spend the lowest amount of money. Bringing back older maps is an okay thing to do if they give us a solid explanation why. Like, let's say with the Smash community in Smash Ultimate, they got all of the old maps brought back. There was a solid reason for why they did that. The theme of Smash Ultimate was everyone is here. And in Splatoon 3, the theme is chaos. So, like, why are we going back to an old place when, like, Nintendo is advertising this new destination all about chaos, but then just slapping us back in Inkopolis? That makes no sense for the theme of the game at all. But anyways, this quote-unquote advanced transportation system really just sounds like Nintendo is sticking a band-aid on a seriously large plot hole they've just created to cut a corner in bringing back old maps. This system that Nintendo has just implemented here isn't just a bad omen of things to come in the future. This is something that genuinely makes me worry about the future of this series. They've now set a precedent that they can bring back old maps with little to no work done on them. So, let's make an example here. That could mean they can bring back the original Salt Spray rig in its original form. Hope everyone's excited for that. This isn't the way bringing back old maps had to be. The way Nintendo should have handled this would have been to take the environments from the old maps and remix them with the themes and elements of what's going on in Splatoon 3. That would literally fix all of the issues of Nintendo wanting to reuse maps. Just remix them a little more to fit Splatsville and not just shove us back in Inkopolis so you can cut a corner. At least in the scenario that I just gave, we'd be able to see Nintendo show us that they really put time and effort into making things that were at one point revolutionary and making them even better to match a new modern era. These old maps could have grown and evolved with the community that has grown and evolved on them. But that's not what we got here. We got the same maps from an older game, virtually unchanged. And yeah, I bet people will still have good experiences on them, but it's not how it should have been done. When you look more deeper into it, there is an issue here that should have been solved from the beginning. This is not nearly the amount of effort that Nintendo should have put into bringing back old maps. Hopefully, if Nintendo plans to stick to this way of bringing back old maps, they keep it super limited, and by limited, I mean the maps that didn't make it to Splatoon 2 that came from Splatoon 1. Because if they brought back maps from Splatoon 2, having two of these same maps on the same system, that would be so seriously hard to justify being anything else other than corner cutting. Look, I am very aware of how harsh I've been sounding in this video when talking about this issue. I've gotten tons of flack about it before, and quite frankly, the videos that I make talking about this issue don't do as well as other videos. but there's a reason that I keep choosing to deal with this issue. I truly believe that if something isn't done, if we don't demand the utmost protection from Nintendo on a situation that multiple video game developers have found themselves in, causing controversy over reusing assets like this, then it will seriously hurt the Splatoon series in the future. As much as I don't want it, there are probably going to be maps from Splatoon 2 brought back into Splatoon 3 with virtually little to no changes. So let me ask you this. Are you really excited about spending another $60 to use Splatoon 2 specials with a weapon that acts the same way it did in Splatoon 2 on a map that looks and feels and plays exactly how it did in Splatoon 2? Because that is a genuine possibility now. Let's take Manta Maria as an example. Which scenario sounds better to you? A Manta Maria from Splatoon 2 that you can squid surge and squid roll on till your heart's content, but in the end of the day, you're still using the same stuff from the last game on the same map that you just bought a few years ago. Or a remixed Manta Maria that's like a shipwrecked version of it with destroyed parts of the boat that make new paths in different areas accessible, and cool new parts of the boat that you couldn't have seen before but only make sense now because the map has been remixed for a new theme and setting. My personal perspective on old maps coming back has changed a little bit since I've started talking about it on my channel. It can work if Nintendo treats it delicately and with care, but that's not what we are getting here. We are getting near identical ports of maps that were never designed for some of the things we're getting now. Yet we saw a few minor changes in Museam di Alfonsino, but are a few minor balance patches really worth not getting totally redesigned versions of Splatoon 1 maps? I really do want Splatoon 3 to be the best Splatoon game Nintendo's made so far, and it's probably going to be whether or not Nintendo lazily slaps older maps onto the game. But the biggest point of this video is that it's not too late to demand that Nintendo put more effort into bringing back maps from Splatoon 1. Giving us a remix of a map is a far better alternative than giving us back the same map that we've already had. And despite how negative I've sounded in this video, I am extremely excited about Splatoon 3. I mean, like, here's a video of me freaking out over the new Splatoon 3 trailer. Go click the iCard. But I want to be excited over a game that's gotten attention and care in every aspect of it. And with an already controversial decision to port back older maps, in an industry that criticizes developers on reusing content from older games, to a game that's biggest selling point is the fact that it's a new setting, and explaining in a less than 20-word sentence why we are totally going back on the theme and setting of the new game and going back to maps we already have, is something that doesn't seem like it's being treated with much delicacy or care. Despite Nintendo claiming that they don't listen to feedback, we know they do. And if you want to see Nintendo give these maps that we love a remix to make them even better for the next game, then be vocal about it. Splatoon shouldn't be a series that gets the rep of being the same game every release like Pokemon. But I believe that's all I've got to say for now. Unless Nintendo manages to top this blunder again, then I plan on this being the last time I talk about this subject. Let me know what you guys think about Nintendo porting over maps, or maybe what your ideas for remixed Splatoon 1 or 2 maps would be. Alright gamers, I will see everyone later. Bye.